Incredible twist, she just wanted to sell flowers, but the millionaire's shocking offer would transform everything. Emily stood behind the counter of her flower shop, the scent of fresh blooms surrounding her like an embrace. The vibrant arrangements showcased the work of her hands, inherited from generations that had weathered storms both economic and personal. But today, the usual comfort felt distant, as an uncomfortable tension hovered over her. Jack, the sharply dressed millionaire from the city, had just walked into her life with a proposal that threatened to rewrite everything. "Imagine a luxury marketplace right here," he had said, his eyes gleaming with ambition. 300,000 for her shop, a life-altering sum. The words echoed in her mind, promising to ease the weight of medical bills piling up for her mother. Yet, at what cost? Could she truly forsake the essence of her family's legacy, a beacon of resilience since the darkest days of the Great Depression? The flicker of hope at financial security was quickly swallowed by the gnawing dread of losing the only world she knew. For years, she had poured every ounce of love into this modest space, where laughter and sorrow coexisted among the petals. Her elderly customers had become family, they shared stories of their youth, their dangers, and their joys all within the walls of her shop. Rejecting Jack's offer began to feel less like a choice and more like a betrayal. Jack's confidence intensified the pressure, transforming what should have been a simple negotiation into a suffocating dilemma. As he described his vision for a bustling marketplace, with hip cafes and art galleries, each word twisted the knife deeper. Emily found herself questioning her own identity. Who would she be without the shop? A cautious businesswoman torn between nostalgia and a tempting future, she shuffled flowers from one arrangement to the next, the rhythmic motion grounding her unresolved thoughts. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each day, Emily felt the excitement building in the town around Jack's vision. The whispers morphed from discussions of possibility into a symphony of desire for growth, shifting the atmosphere inside her once supportive community. The very people who once sought solace among the roses now danced to the tune of change. Emily's heart ached at the thought of their growing eagerness. If she stood against all this, would they blame her when they yearned for something more? Time seemed to drag like an anchor. As she read through letters hidden in old family albums, detailing sacrifices and struggles, each pen stroke radiated a legacy of hope. This was her grandmother's dream preserved through hardship. An idea began to take root, igniting a longing to confront Jack and uncover his true intentions. But when he sweetened the deal with a promise to redesign her shop, Hannah's words fluttered away, replaced by confusion and a desperate yearning for security. Emily was standing at the precipice of a decision so monumental, it felt like more than a transaction but a fracture in her soul. How could she hold on to the past while facing an uncertain future? As these questions gnawed at her, the tie that bound her to her beloved customers began to fray, leaving only a painful, unanswered echo in her heart. Would she sacrifice her roots to embrace a new dream, or would she let $1 million glimmer slip away into the shadows? Emily's hands moved mechanically, trimming stems and arranging petals as her mind raced. Each bloom represented hours of work, dedication, and love, all the things she had invested into her shop. Yet Jack's offer gnawed at her insides like a persistent itch she couldn't scratch. She could visualize her mother's medical bills stacked on the table in their modest living room, a stark reminder that relief was only a signature away. But at what price? That night, Emily lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the whispers of the townsfolk echoing in her mind. They had painted a picture of what could be a grand marketplace where her flowers would share the spotlight with artisanal chocolates and handmade crafts. It should have excited her, but instead, it felt suffocating. She felt the walls of her shop closing in, and with them, all the dreams of her family's legacy. The next day brought the crisp dawnlight, illuminating the dust motes that danced lazily in the air. With a clear determination sparked by the chaos in her mind, Emily decided it was time to take control. She needed clarity, and clarity came through action. After a deep breath, she called Jack, asking to meet again. She wasn't just going to accept or reject his offer blindly, she needed to know more about what this vision truly entailed. As she prepared for their appointment, her heart raced with a mix of anticipation and dread. Could she stand firm? Her thoughts flitted back to the numerous occasions her grandmother had faced uncertainty and found a way through. Empowered by those memories, she resolved to arm herself with questions that would reveal the truth behind Jack's charming exterior. Arriving at the cafe where they agreed to meet, Emily spotted Jack already sitting at a corner table, scrolling through his phone. He looked up and flashed a confident grin as if expecting her to surrender. But this time would be different. She wasn't a hesitant flower shop owner anymore, she was a woman ready to reclaim her narrative. "Thank you for coming," Jack said smoothly, gesturing to a seat. "I know you've been thinking about my offer. Imagine being part of something bigger." Emily took a steadying breath. "I'm not just here to think, Jack. I need to understand how this marketplace will incorporate my shop, my legacy. What does this really mean for the community?" His eyes narrowed slightly, but he quickly recovered, weaving a vision filled with grandeur and potential profits. Yet, as he spoke, Emily was no longer merely absorbing his words, she was analyzing them, cross-referencing his claims with her own knowledge of the floral business and the town's dynamics. Jack was attempting to charm her into compliance, and there was a flicker of doubt that crossed Emily's mind. Is he truly invested in their community, or was her shop simply another piece in his vast empire? With each point he raised, she decided to push back. "How will you ensure my flowers aren't buried beneath the weight of all the new offerings?" she challenged, watching as he hesitated, caught off guard. The pressure was shifting, and she felt the weight of his calculated charm starting to crack. Her pulse quickened with the growing realization that perhaps she held more power in this dialogue than she initially believed. Emily had stepped into her strength, and a spark of resolve pulsed through her. As Jack grappled for a coherent response to her probing, a familiar face from her shop appeared at the cafe window, waving frantically. It was Mrs. Henderson, the patient widower who had confided in Emily during difficult times. The sight of her brought a rush of warmth and clarity, bolstering Emily's convictions. She could not ignore the people she served in her quest for progress. "Jack," Emily interjected, her voice steady but firm. "I need to have an honest conversation about how we can achieve growth without losing what my shop represents. They deserve as much respect as the new customers you're courting." For the first time, Emily felt herself standing at the helm of her fate, determined to shape it for herself. What began as an overwhelming dilemma had morphed into a powerful negotiation. She would not allow Jack's ambition to overshadow the essence of what she held dear. As their discussion veered off in unexpected directions, Emily realized she was just scratching the surface. What other opportunities lay hidden in the folds of her decision? Yet, as Jack's demeanor shifted and he leaned back in his chair, a shadow of frustration creeping over his meticulously crafted facade, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this confrontation was merely the beginning. The real questions simmered beneath the surface, and before long, the answers she sought might demand far more than she was prepared to give. And with this thought trailing in her mind, she sensed the precarious tension between past and future thickening, overshadowing the air with possibilities. What role would she ultimately play in her own story? Emily felt the weight of Jack's gaze, now more scrutinizing than before, as if assessing her newly emerged resolve. This wasn't just a conversation about business, it was a test of her integrity and vision. He had painted bright possibilities, yet behind those strokes lay a canvas of uncertainty, one she was determined to paint over with her own colors. "Let us be real, Jack," she said, her voice steady. "You're offering a partnership, but at what cost? What makes your vision advantageous for both of us?" He shifted in his seat, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. "You need to think bigger, Emily. We're in a competitive landscape. Your flowers could reach more customers than ever. Isn't that what you want for your business?" "No," she replied firmly. "I want my flowers to have meaning. I want the people who buy them to connect with one another, not just with a product on a shelf in a crowded marketplace. That moment resonated within her. She realized this was not just about saving her business. It was about honoring her family's legacy and the stories behind every stem she sold. The stories she had shared with Mrs. Henderson and countless others who walked into her shop seeking connection were her real currency. She felt a pang of affection for the lives she touched. Growing up in that atmosphere shaped her values and expectations profoundly. Jack tried to pivot the conversation, but Emily was now fueled by a newfound clarity. Each moment that passed was a revelation, showing her that she had been selling herself short. She wasn't merely a flower shop owner anymore, but a gatekeeper of emotional connections through her blooms. I'm not interested in expanding just for the sake of it, she said, her tone unwavering. If we're going to work together, I need to see a plan that integrates my vision. Customers should leave feeling more than just satisfied, they should feel a deep connection, a moment of joy. As Emily spoke, she noticed Jack's expression harden. This was not the reaction she expected. In fact, his rising frustration intrigued her. Rather than backing down, she leaned into the discomfort, exploring her own thoughts about what decisions were truly essential. If she intended to grow without diluting her values, she had to sharpen her approach. Each question she posed, every challenge she issued added tools to her arsenal. One realization dazzled in her mind: she wasn't just negotiating with him, she was negotiating with her future and carving out a distinct role in it. Okay, Jack relented, his icy demeanor thawing a bit as he realized Emily was not going to yield. What's your proposal? Finally. The shift in the conversation summoned a fresh wave of excitement within her. It felt like she had just turned a corner she never thought would exist. I think a marketplace can work if we curate each vendor carefully, not just a hodgepodge that dilutes our offerings. Our brands should complement each other, not compete, she stated, her eyes sparking with possibility. Jack gave her a slow nod, though Emily sensed skepticism still loomed behind it. He was probably calculating how her ideas could benefit him in the long run. What if he was only trying to placate her? Yet, just as doubt flickered through her resolve, another thought anchored her: the people who relied on her, her integrity as a businesswoman, and what it would mean if she succeeded. Their exchange continued, each idea they exchanged becoming a building block for a potential partnership. Still, beneath the surface, an unsettling feeling brewed, whispering questions she hadn't yet asked. What sacrifices might she unwittingly be making in this pursuit? With the cafe ambience morphing into charged tension, Emily pressed on, tell me more about how you envision sustaining our unique identities. Will there be flexibility for me to curate my offerings, or will that all fall under the umbrella of your business strategy? For every question she posed, Emily felt herself growing more assertive, more confident in what she was building. But as Jack offered his response, which seemed rehearsed and vague, her heart raced with foreboding. The tension flickered once again when she caught sight of Mrs. Henderson still gazing through the window, concern etched on her face. As the words hung in the air between them, a larger trap appeared on the horizon, a potential deal that could shatter her ideals. Would she emerge victorious or lose herself in the very dreams she sought to nurture? Emily realized she was standing on the brink of a critical decision, one that would either shape her future or ensnare her in a web of unattainable expectations. The true test loomed ahead: would she fight for her vision, or would she allow herself to be drowned in Jack's ambition? The stakes had never felt higher, and the road ahead only grew murkier. What was the next step in this delicate dance of negotiation, and what resources within herself was she yet to uncover? The air in the cafe thickened as Emily absorbed Jack's evasive reply. Each moment felt suspended, heavy with the potential ramifications of what lay ahead. She folded her hands, a grounding gesture amid the rising tides of her emotions. Jack, I need clarity, she pressed, her voice sharpening with urgency. It's about more than just the business. It's about what we represent. If your vision doesn't align with mine, then we're merely exchanging one set of expectations for another. Jack's expression flickered with frustration, but there was a subtle respect now, a recognition that he was facing someone unyielding, someone who had shifted from mere flower seller to a determined architect of her own future. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. "Look," he said, leaning back, possibly re-evaluating his approach. "What if we create a flagship experience space? Something immersive where the flowers tell stories, where people can connect deeply with the processes behind them." Emily paused. Could this be an olive branch, a concession? It was a step closer to what she valued, yet the shadows of doubt remained. "I still need to know how this works operationally, Jack. I want to be hands-on with this creative process. Can I trust that you'll allow that autonomy?" With each word, Emily felt her confidence solidifying, like roots taking hold in rich soil. Leaning forward, she enunciated carefully, "Partnership is built on trust. I must believe that my voice isn't going to be sidelined." Jack started to paint a picture of interactive workshops and collaborative events, his words passionate, yet Emily couldn't shake the gnawing feeling that perhaps he was simply projecting an appealing narrative. What if beneath the vibrant marketing plan was a strategy to dominate the landscape, leaving her ideals in the dust? As their conversation shifted from concept to specifics, Emily's instincts kicked in. She wrestled with the mounting pressure to yield, the lurking fear of losing her identity as a businesswoman. She had spent years cultivating those intimate connections within the community. Who was she without that authenticity? Moments passed like fragile petals caught in the wind, and she sensed something change within her, an undeniable realization that this negotiation was about more than business metrics or market share. It was about her essence, the very core of who she was. The flower shop had been her canvas for self-expression, a symphony composed of kindness, vibrancy, and personal stories woven into every arrangement. "Jack, I appreciate your willingness to frame this as a shared vision," she began slowly, "but my primary goal has to remain clear. The stories behind those flowers need to resonate. They're not just products, they're reminders of connections, emotions, and personal milestones. That's what I stand for." Jack narrowed his eyes, either weighing her sincerity or recalibrating his strategy. "And you think that kind of authenticity can scale? Can it withstand the pressures of growth?" His tone edged toward derision, a challenge wrapped in doubt. Emily's heart raced, but she found herself rising to meet his eyes, refusing to flinch. "It has to withstand. If I cannot preserve that essence, I might as well shut the doors of the shop. Growth without integrity is meaningless." Her declaration struck a chord with something inside her, igniting a flame of resolve that burned bright. But just as Jack began to reconsider, the door to the cafe swung open, drawing attention away from their dialogue. Mrs. Henderson, with her warm smile and gentle aura, shuffled inside, a beacon of familiarity amid the chaos swirling in Emily's mind. Seeing her there brought unexpected clarity. Emily's dilemma crystallized. It was never just about her anymore. It was about everyone who walked through those doors, seeking solace and beauty. With a newfound urgency, she realized she needed to clarify her bottom line before this conversation spiraled further away from her control. "Give me a moment," she said, standing abruptly. As she approached Mrs. Henderson, she felt the weight of her decision hang in the air, waiting to be resolved. "Emily," Mrs. Henderson said softly, her voice carrying a warmth that made the world momentarily fade away. "I've been listening. Remember who you are at this moment." With each word, a soft echo of reassurance rushed through Emily, fueling her desire to carve out her own path. But as she turned back toward Jack, the realization struck her this decision was only the beginning of an even larger journey. The question now lingered in her mind: could she balance authenticity with ambition? The path was fraught with challenges, but she was ready to confront the tension head-on. This risk didn't just encompass numbers or growth, it threatened the heart of who she wanted to be. And with that, the next twist unfurled in her consciousness. What sacrifices would she need to make to hold on to her vision while navigating this fraught partnership? Emily turned her back to Jack and Mrs. Henderson, focusing instead on the stale air of the cafe, each breath punctuating her swirling thoughts. She felt the grounds of her reality shift like shifting sands, all tied to the conversations that caught her off guard. If only she could muster the grit to carve out her own path without succumbing to compromise. The conflict brewing inside her was visceral. Should she cultivate the garden that Jack envisioned, or fight to protect her cultivated dreams? She inhaled deeply, grounding herself. Her eyes flitted to the flowers arranged in the corner of the cafe, the vibrant colors clashing with her internal grayscale. Flowers had always been her refuge, each bloom a testament to the stories she crafted, the emotions she poured into every arrangement. It was in floral design that she felt most powerful, each petal and stem a thread in the tapestry of her identity. But now, here she stood, at the precipice of making decisions that could alter that very essence. Returning to the table, she could feel Jack's expectant gaze, a mixture of curiosity and calculation etched into his features. It was time to determine if they could truly align their visions or if this partnership would unravel into something unrecognizable. "Jack," she began slowly, each word measured, "let us talk numbers and numbers only. What are your expectations in terms of revenue growth? What does success look like for you?" He shifted in his seat, revealing the entrepreneurial spirit that had once mesmerized her. "Realistically, we're looking at a 30% increase in 3 years. If we're building a flagship, we need to ensure that the foot traffic converts into sales. This isn't just about flowers, it's a lifestyle brand." Each figure he presented was a nail in the coffin of the quaint authenticity she clung to. Emily felt her vision blurring. What would it mean to transform her sanctuary into a bustling setup devoid of intimacy? A disturbing thought crawled into her psyche. Could she sacrifice some part of herself to play this game? Are those figures based on previous ventures? She asked, steering deeper into the conversation. The question remains, does that growth come at the cost of authenticity? Jack leaned forward, his elbows resting on the table, eyes sharp. "What are you so afraid of, Emily? All businesses evolve. Look at the industry. The ones that don't, they die. You want to be relevant, don't you?" Relevance. The word hung heavy between them. What did it truly mean to be relevant? As she weighed the cost of her ideals against the weight of ambition, Emily found herself wrestling with an internal dichotomy. Could she redefine relevance without losing the love that had birthed her vision? "Let us consider a third option," she said, feeling an unfamiliar determination swell within her. "What if we prioritize local engagement? Create smaller workshops aimed at storytelling through flowers? It aligns with your growth objective, but it preserves the essence I'm fighting for." Jack raised an eyebrow, caught off guard. "You think that could work? If we promote the narrative that every flower tells a story and gather community members for hands-on experiences, it could create loyalty." Encouraged by his momentary openness, Emily pressed forward. "Yes. It's sustainable, something people will rally behind. If our clients feel more connected, that loyalty will translate into sales." For the first time, she sensed a potential shift, the glimmer of a shared vision. But there remained a lingering doubt. Would Jack genuinely embrace her concept, or was this merely a tactic to pacify her and bury her ideals beneath a capitalist scheme? Just as Emily felt the tiniest spark of hope, her phone buzzed insistently on the table. She glanced down, heart racing as she saw a notification from a local art influencer who had supported her shop through difficult times. She had posted about her upcoming workshop series. That realization hit her like a bolt of lightning. Perhaps she had allies waiting on the sidelines, affirming her commitment to authenticity. Without sacrificing ambition. What if I can prove that my way works? She thought, enthusiasm battling against anxiety. What if I can inspire this partnership to thrive while staying true to my roots? As she looked up at Jack, poised to navigate uncharted waters, an inner voice whispered this journey might be less about sacrifice and more about innovation, and yet, with each passing breath, the stakes rose. Would Jack be able to flex his corporate ambitions to match her heartfelt approach? The time had come to face the uncertain future head-on, and Emily was acutely aware every choice from now on would shape the story of who she truly was. Emily felt a surge of adrenaline as the phone buzzed again, her thoughts racing like wild horses. The notifications were a mixed blessing, each like a whisper of encouragement from her supporters, yet also a reminder of the growing expectations that now weighed heavily on her shoulders. She had not only her dreams at stake, now her burgeoning partnership with Jack loomed large, threatening to overshadow her initial vision. Jack resumed speaking, pulling her back from the tempest of her thoughts. I can see you have some passionate ideas. Leverage that enthusiasm, Emily. If we market these workshops right, they can become the cornerstone of our brand, a unique selling point in a crowded market. His enthusiasm was palpable, but Emily couldn't entirely shake off the feeling that he was only seeing dollar signs, not the emotion behind the flowers. Yes, but, she interjected, feeling the need to draw the line, it has to be authentic. It can't be just another gimmick. Authenticity sells now more than ever. We can create a narrative that resonates, he pressed on, a flash of inspiration lighting his eyes. Think of it, artisans sharing their slower craft, a return to what's meaningful. As Jack spoke, Emily wrestled with the notion lurking in the depths of her subconscious. If she allowed herself to be swept away in a tide of ambition and marketing strategies, would she lose the essence of what she had built? Would her identity intact and beautiful, akin to the flowers she adored, begin to wilt in a harsh corporate sun? Let's take it one step at a time, she asserted, her voice firmer now. Workshops could start small. If they gain traction, we can scale. But I want the core messages clear and intact. These are about connection and expression. Jack nodded, clearly weighing her words. They were both navigating uncharted waters, each step forward shrouded in uncertainty. Days morphed into weeks as she and Jack brainstormed at the cafe, sketching ideas for workshops, logo designs, and promotional materials. While every meeting sent Emily's heart racing with possibility, a shadow of doubt lingered in the background. The more they delved into the business side, the more she questioned her motives and expectations. As they fleshed out ideas, Emily began refusing to bottleneck her creativity. This was her opportunity to wed artistry with entrepreneurship, merging her passion with Jack's strategic mindset. With renewed vigor, she threw herself into creating a signature style for their proposed workshops, a blend of floral design with storytelling, evoking emotions through every petal and stem. One evening, as she meticulously arranged flowers for a demonstration, inspiration struck. Each workshop could tell its own story: homeowners transforming spaces, couples celebrating milestones, even individuals seeking solace amidst personal challenges. The sessions could become personal havens for attendees, a retreat to reconnect with their emotions through nature. That thrilling realization ignited an initial spark within her, the feeling that perhaps this partnership could work after all, carving space for her artistic vision within Jack's corporate ambitions. However, creeping doubts continued to pester her mind. Was Jack still the same person she admired, or had his motivations changed with the stakes? Her heart thudded violently as she reminded herself of the intentions behind the flowers: authenticity, creativity, connection. When their designs were finally polished, and the inaugural workshop was ready for launch, Emily stood on the brink of that terrifying moment. Would people embrace not just their flowers but the very essence she had infused into them? Her fingers trembled slightly as she checked Jack's updates on the marketing front. Would he truly allow her aesthetic to shine, or would profit dictate their approach from now on? As the workshop's date loomed closer, the tension in Emily's chest thickened. The balance seemed precarious. Everything hinged on how Jack responded to the participants' reactions, their engagement with the brand they had curated together. Perhaps even more critically, she faced her own buried anxieties. Could she find her voice once the spotlight shone? Would this venture nourish her artistry, or drown it in commodification? With the clock ticking, Emily prepared for a reality check, knowing one undeniable truth: transformation was imminent, whether for her dreams or her partnership with Jack. Would it culminate in the flourishing she longed for, or would this venture test the very roots of her identity? One last thought stabbed into her consciousness as she grasped the floral arrangement tightly: this could either blossom into a new chapter or wither against the harsh light of scrutiny. The moment of truth would come swift and unrelenting, demanding answers and change. Would she rise to the occasion, or would she collapse under the weight of compromise? Emily sat at her kitchen table, the sun filtering through the window, casting intricate patterns across the floor. The floral arrangements from last night's workshop still adorned the table, each bloom a reminder of the effort and passion she had poured into them. Yet, the beauty felt overshadowed by the weight of the impending launch. Today marked the day she would decide how to present her creations to the world. Determination began to wrestle with doubt in her mind. Standing at this precipice, a part of her yearned for the validation that would come with success, yet another part shuddered at the prospect of sacrificing her essence for it. Could she carve out a space for authenticity amid the noise of commerce? As she sipped her coffee, she pulled out Jack's email, detailing their marketing strategy, compelling but aggressively commercial. The language felt foreign to her art. Could she infuse her personal touch without diluting his strategies? She sighed, feeling the push and pull of their differing visions. Jack's business acumen was undeniably impressive, yet did it come at the cost of the artistry she held dear? An internal conflict surged. She wasn't merely a businesswoman now, but an artist in a world driven by metrics and statistics. With her heart set, she resolved to draft a new proposal. This time it would emphasize narrative, the stories behind each arrangement and workshop. She imagined how sharing not just the flowers but their significance could create connections that went deeper than transactions. She pulled her laptop closer, the keys feeling cool under her fingertips as she began to type. The first paragraph flowed with ease, each word lifting her spirits slightly as she articulated her vision: intimate gatherings, a space to explore emotions and foster connections over blooms. As she scanned her own writing, she felt a pulse, an energy that pushed her forward. Yet as she crafted the proposal, familiar doubts nagged at her. Would Jack see merit in this softer approach? She could already envision their potential confrontation. Would he chalk it off as impractical, dismissing the very essence of why these workshops existed? The fear of a confrontation weighed heavily as her mind danced between courage and appeasement. When she presented the finalized proposal to Jack that afternoon, anxiety fluttered like a trapped bird within her. "I want to frame our workshops through storytelling," she said, straightening in her seat, trying to suppress the tremor in her voice. "Each one should resonate with the participants, connect them to the flowers and to each other." Jack leaned back, fingers steepling thoughtfully against his lips. "That sounds emotional," he replied slowly, processing her words. "Exactly. But it's more than that, it's our unique space in the market," she insisted, heart racing with hope. "I genuinely believe we can create something that resonates on a meaningful level. Think of the home transformations we can inspire." But his brow furrowed. "And what if that doesn't translate into profit at the scale we anticipate? Emily, we have to measure success." Those words hit her hard. How could he dismiss what she held sacred? "Is it all about the numbers, Jack? Can't we allow for moments that go beyond that?" She fired back, frustration igniting within her as her passion began to overtake her fear. Jack looked taken aback. "I see your point, but let us not forget our business model. We need traction quickly." Her resolve faltered momentarily. Did she want to build a business with Jack that could thrive at any cost, or did she crave something deeper, an operation that honored her creative vision? This growing rift between their motivations crystallized a harsh realization. In that moment, a thought transformed her anxiety into clarity. What if she didn't have to conform entirely? Emily could advocate for her perspective while remaining adaptable. There had to be a way to integrate authenticity with the aggressive market strategies Jack proposed, forging a path that respected both of their ideals. As she concluded the meeting, a feeling of empowerment washed over her. She resolved to engage Jack in ongoing dialogues, challenging him to think differently. Each interaction could chip away at his rigid views, hopefully leading to a shared vision that satisfied them both. Her mind, now a fervent landscape of ideas and strategies, propelled her into the next stages of preparation. Yet, lingering doubts insisted on festering. They could hit a breaking point at any moment. The weight of their differences rippled through her chest. Emily understood now that what lay ahead was not just a professional venture, but a battleground for her identity. There would be more conversations, and possibly more conflict. Facing those uncertainties head-on would demand an unusual blend of grace and grit. As she stepped away from the table, she knew she was at the edge of a new beginning. The real question resonated powerfully in her thoughts: could she emerge intact from the impending storm of divergence? And what if, in challenging Jack, she discovered not only her strength but a new path entirely? The answers were within reach, yet still cloaked in uncertainty, a tantalizing thread enriching her narrative. The following days unfolded like a meticulously arranged bouquet, each moment a vibrant but precarious flower in a larger design. Emily found herself caught in a perceptible shift. The growing tension between her aspirations and Jack's stark commercial focus loomed large as they navigated through the intricate details of their marketing plan. As she immersed herself deeper into the strategy discussions, Emily began to notice subtle changes in Jack's demeanor. Each time she attempted to insert her creativity into their conversations, he appeared less receptive, offering only curt nods and distracted replies. The warmth of collaboration was waning, replaced by an atmosphere thick with pragmatic tension. The morning after their last meeting, Emily found herself staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, contemplating the threshold she stood poised to cross. She sensed that every conversation with Jack could become pivotal. Would she allow her passion to be buried under business jargon, or could she forge a new road that would honor her artistry? She desperately wanted to be seen as more than just a fill-in for Jack's financial aspirations. That afternoon, she stumbled into a local pop-up market, seeking inspiration among the colorful booths. The bright hues of fresh flowers and handmade crafts sparked an idea. Surrounding herself with other creators, she realized she craved the kind of synergy she hadn't felt with Jack. Unsure of how to bring this vibrant spirit into their business model, uncertainty sought to unravel her newfound direction. Emily noticed a small booth run by a woman named Lena. An artist herself, Lena offered flower crowns adorned with both wildflowers and whispers of meaningful stories attached to each bloom. The air buzzed with laughter as children and adults alike adorned themselves in her creations, each person leaving with more than a beautiful accessory. They carried pieces of joy. This was what Emily desired: to create connections through flowers that blossomed in people's lives. The encounter ignited a spark within her. Gathering her belongings, she decided to approach Jack that evening with renewed determination. She wanted to tell him what she had encountered, hoping to weave the essence of narrative into their branding. It was more than a strategy; it could become the cornerstone of their identity. When she presented her newfound inspiration, Jack's expression remained taciturn. "That sounds lovely, but we need to consider scalability." His words stung, reverberating disappointment through her resolve. "Scalability shouldn't snuff out our core essence. We can tell stories, Jack. Engage people on an emotional level," she pleaded, heat rising in her chest. "You're passionate, I'll give you that. But passion doesn't pay the bills," he retorted, his tone cutting through her fervor like a cold gust of wind. But Emily wasn't prepared to surrender her vision. Shaking off the sting, she realized that his dismissive tendencies only fueled her ambition further. She began to compile ideas for a new campaign centered around the stories behind each creation. She wanted imagery, testimonials, and narratives that would tell the emotive journey of flowers, connecting with life's moments of joy, sorrow, and everything in between. This wasn't just a marketing tool, it was a lifeline to her artistic identity. Weeks passed, each day intensifying her resolve. She operated in a state of constant creation and revision, drafting social media posts, designing a website, planning an event where people could share their stories as they crafted their floral arrangements. With every keystroke, Emily felt herself returning to her truest self. Jack eventually noticed her renewed fervor, a flicker of curiosity evident even behind his skeptical veil. "What if we try to compromise?" he proposed one afternoon. "You pitch your idea, but let us frame it in a way that markets well. Keep it accessible." The prospect of a compromise sent both excitement and dread through her. While she sensed a flicker of openness in Jack, the fear of what that might actually mean lingered in her mind. Could they synthesize their visions without diluting her spirit? Emily's heart raced at the possibilities ahead, her excitement a double-edged sword. As she contemplated their contrasting views, a convergence of commercial pragmatism and artistic vulnerability, she felt the thrill of a new chapter unfolding. Yet, beneath the surface, doubt crept in, whispering questions that pricked at the edges of her resolve. What if their union couldn't endure the friction of their differing visions? Finally, after so many back and forths, she decided it was time to lay everything out on the table, not just the proposal, but her very heart. The moment was approaching when she would have to confront Jack about her hesitations and hopes, and perhaps discover where their partnership truly stood. As she prepared mentally for this decisive conversation, one thought clung to her, heavy yet charged with potential. What if, through this struggle, she could unearth not just a path forward for their business, but a deeper understanding of herself? With the stakes growing increasingly high, she wondered if this junction would lead to transformation or turmoil. The moment felt charged, as if each word carried the weight of her future. Would she have the courage to face Jack and redefine their vision together? Emily's heart raced as she settled into her favorite cafe, its warm ambience contrasting the incubating storm within her. Today was the day she'd confront Jack. The weight of her thoughts seemed to echo within the rhythmic clinking of cups and the low rhythm of conversation surrounding her. She had meticulously crafted her proposal, drawing from the stories she had encountered at the pop-up market and infusing them with the essence of their brand identity. As she took a deep breath, she envisaged a narrative intertwined with the vibrant colors of their flowers, a beautiful tapestry that connected people to the emotions flourishing within each arrangement. This was not mere marketing, it was their story. But would Jack see it? Emerging from her thoughts, she glanced around, noticing couples sharing laughter and friends animatedly discussing their day. A pang of envy gripped her, a longing for the kind of connection she witnessed in their interactions. Why was it so hard to foster that same connection in her professional life? It was time to bring her heartfelt vision to the surface. Moments later, she found herself across from Jack, the usual steely expression on his face replaced by something more inscrutable. He glanced at the pages spread before her, each meticulously annotated, a blend of ideas and visuals. As she began to present her ideas about storytelling, the room felt charged with anticipation. Jack, what if we could not only sell flowers but also create an experience for our customers? Emily began, her voice steady but her heart drumming wildly. Every arrangement could tell a story, connect to the emotions people associate with flowers: joy, love, even grief. He listened, his expression impassive yet focused, stirring a mixture of hope and apprehension within her. Are you suggesting we transform our entire marketing strategy? Jack asked, his tone reflecting both skepticism and curiosity. It's more than a strategy, it's about redefining who we are as a brand, Emily asserted, her voice gaining strength. If we center our marketing around our customers' stories, the reasons they choose flowers, we can build something truly meaningful. They won't just buy a product, they will invest in an experience. He leaned back, arms crossed, his earlier curiosity now clouded by doubt. Stories are great, Emily, but they aren't quantifiable. We need numbers, trends, scalability. Frustration tinged her words. But Jack, this is what distinguishes us from our competitors. We can't sacrifice our essence for the sake of numbers. What we offer is more profound than simply a sale. It's an opportunity to provide meaning. Jack remained silent, his face inscrutable. The tension hung like the scent of freshly cut flowers, both alluring and overwhelming. The moment stretched painfully thin, and Emily felt the pulse of her vision dim under the weight of Jack's practicalities. Don't you see? She pressed on, desperation mingling with conviction. This could resonate with people on a deeper level. Emotional connections lead to loyalty. Isn't that worth pursuing? Finally, a flicker of something crossed his eyes, perhaps intrigue, or even fear of missing something potentially significant. Let's say I allow this narrative direction. How do we even begin to measure its success? Emily fought back the excitement threatening to spill over. We could develop feedback mechanisms, engage with our customers directly, involve them in sharing their stories, create visuals that highlight emotional connections. It won't be instantaneous, but it will develop over time. Jack remained quiet, contemplating. A myriad of possibilities unfolded in Emily's mind, fueling her with vigor. Yet, just as she sensed a crack in the veneer of Jack's cynicism, he countered abruptly. And what if it flops, Emily? How will we explain that to the investors? His words cut like glass, and for a brief moment, doubt crawled back in, seeking to overthrow her conviction. But then, she felt at the fierce flame of her purpose igniting once more. We won't know until we try, Jack. I believe in this. I believe in us. If we don't risk, we'll never grow. With that, time paused. Emily's heart raced as she awaited his response. The silence felt heavy, laden with unspoken words and lingering doubts. She sensed a choice looming, an intersection of vision and pragmatism. Would Jack dare to step into the uncharted? As Jack leaned forward, a determined look crossing his face, Emily felt a surge of hope. All right, I'll give you a trial run. Show me how this can work. The moment felt electric. The stage was set, past apprehensions fluttering into something resembling audacity. But as exhilaration coursed through her, a new wave of trepidation crested over her resolve. What would the consequences of this trial be? Emily took a deep breath, ready to embrace the uncertainty ahead, knowing this wasn't just a test for their business, it was a test of her own convictions. How could she ensure that in this partnership, her spirit remained untarnished? And as they moved forward, would this challenge illuminate their paths or unravel them entirely? As Emily stood at the front of her flower shop, surrounded by the delicate beauty of her arrangements, she felt a profound sense of ownership for the first time in ages. The flowers, vibrant and alive, mirrored the new resolve blooming within her. The workshop she had envisioned with Jack had taken form, merging artistry with authenticity, and their inaugural event was now a reality. Just last month, she had felt lost, torn between the lure of Jack's marketplace vision and the essence of her family's legacy. But as she adjusted the flowers on the centerpiece, she came to realize that the struggle had not been in vain. The workshop was a curious blend of narratives and blooms, transforming the intimate gathering into a space where participants shared their stories, intertwining emotions with the artistry of floral design. Each attendee arrived with anticipation, ready to weave their personal journeys into the arrangements guided by her expertise. Emily welcomed them with open arms, their eager faces fueling a newfound exhilaration. By choosing to elevate their experiences beyond mere transactions, she had anchored her vision as a vital component of the brand, one that transcended the mere selling of flowers. That pulse of connection she had so deeply yearned for was alive in the room. Her conviction had manifested into something tangible, a place for people to remember important moments in their lives, a sanctuary for growth and healing. Time flowed differently in this space, and as Emily looked around, she saw joy blossoming within the workshop. Her heart swelled with pride. Days turned into weeks, and the feedback from the workshops flooded in. Customers shared their stories in glowing reviews, revealing how the experience had soothed their souls. Satisfaction blossomed, and with that came acknowledgement, not just from her loyal patrons, but from Jack as well. For the first time, the businessman seemed genuinely impressed with her intuitive grasp of emotional marketing. What you've created here, Emily, Jack said after their latest workshop, is more compelling than I had anticipated. We have traction. The recognition filled her chest with warmth. Clarity had emerged from uncertainty, allowing her to reshape their partnership into one of mutual respect. Jack's newfound appreciation of her creative vision integrated seamlessly with his business acumen. Through the ebb and flow of their collaboration, Emily had finally proved that authenticity equated to success, a lesson that transcended traditional business norms. Gone were the days of feeling like a hesitant shopkeeper. Emily had evolved into a strong entrepreneur, the custodian of her family's legacy, while carving out a niche for herself amid empirical business tactics. She demonstrated that passion could indeed resonate loudly in the marketplace without succumbing to the cold metrics of profit alone. The success of their workshops paved the way for further collaboration. Jack had welcomed the suggestion of seasonal retreats and exclusive floral experiences, allowing Emily's artistic approach to flourish. Watching her ideas grow into reality felt exhilarating. Her confidence solidified with every positive interaction from customers who once stood as mere patrons but were now allies in her vision. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue through the shop's windows, Emily thought of her grandmother, who had instilled the values of integrity, passion, and perseverance in her. The ache of past struggles transformed into a tapestry of triumph, culminating in her ability to balance ambition with authenticity. Her spirit had evolved, sculpted by challenges and fortified through collaboration. This exhilarating chapter validated her resolve completely. She had claimed her space and voice in a world often dominated by numbers. With her heart aligned with purpose, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Emily knew she could confidently navigate the crossroads of artistry and entrepreneurship, seamlessly blending the two. How powerful it felt, knowing that her identity remained intact and celebrated. With the final arrangements completed and a layer of satisfaction wrapping her in warmth, Emily stood supreme in her space, the flower shop now thriving as a dynamic hub of creativity and emotional connection. The next moment arrived swiftly, an invitation to join a leadership panel on entrepreneurship in the arts. They wanted her story. The platform provided her an opportunity to inspire others, solidifying her confidence. Would I have ever imagined standing here? Emily smiled, whispering to the shadows of doubt that once lingered. She no longer needed to choose between ambition and authenticity. Instead, she would continue to nurture both, guiding others to do the same. Each step she took from that moment on would further reflect her growth, not just as a businesswoman, but as an advocate for genuine connection within the framework of artistry and commerce. Her journey had finally converged where her heart and professional aspirations collided, reaffirming what she had always known: those who understand the worth of narrative will always thrive. Now, Emily reached out to her community, her heart set on sharing this narrative, so they too could embark on their journeys. The flowers flourished around her, embodying the vibrant tales of connection she had come to cherish, a legacy reborn in glorious bloom. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for stories of personal overcoming. Don't wait even one more second to share.